Hello, everyone. Today we have with us Lane Houk. Lane is a serial entrepreneur and also the co-founder of Signal Genesis and Quantum Agency. Lane, excited to have you today. Really looking forward to like getting some nuggets out of you from this interview. Thank you
Awesome.
so much for taking our time and coming here.
Yeah, super appreciate the invite. Glad to be here with you, and hopefully can share some value with you and your users or listeners.
Perfect. Perfect. Lee, before we start, it would be great if you would introduce yourself and your agency to our viewers.
Sure, happy to. So Quantum Agency is our white label agency. I'm the managing partner of both Quantum Agency, the white label agency, and then also Signal Genesys, which is a white label SEO software platform for agencies. We built that to serve the agency market specifically. So I'm managing partner of both companies. My business partner, Matt, leads our development team and is the kind of ops and project manager and support manager for the software side. I handle the agency side and all of our fulfillment team there. I have a wife. We married 25 years in October. I've got two boys, 19 and 21. And a dog named Max, who's just about to turn 13. So that's a quick little bit about me personally and professionally at a very high level.
Well, thank you so much for that. Apart from the two brands you own, you're also a certified hockey coach and also own a hockey club. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, actually, I got my shirt on today. I'm a part owner of a junior hockey team up in Wisconsin Rapids, Wisconsin, called the River Kings, Wisconsin Rapids River Kings. Both my boys play hockey. I played hockey on the ponds and lakes growing up in Wisconsin. That's where I grew up. That's the connection to Wisconsin. But yeah, I got my boys on the ice when they were about 3.5 and 5 years old when we were down in Florida. And through that process, they just fell in love with the sport and played hockey literally for the last 15, 16 years it's been. In that process, I got certified as a coach, just kind of coaching the boys' teams. Through the years, I ended up coaching pretty much every age group, including high school and U18 midgets. April of this year, I became a part owner of the Wisconsin Rapids River Kings, which is a junior hockey team in the United States Premier Hockey League. And a good friend and a buddy of mine, Paul, is now the GM, head coach, and also a part owner with me in that franchise. So yeah, that's another piece of me personally, I guess you could say.
Well, you've always been a hustler. How was Lane as a child growing up?
Boy, how was I? Rebellious. I don't know. I just something was born in me. I was a nonconformist. But yeah, I mean, I was always going. I could never sit still. I just like to always be doing something. So when I was a kid, I was always out playing with my friends in the neighborhood, playing some sport, whether it was, it always to change, with the seasons, and living in Wisconsin, we definitely got all seasons. My grandparents actually lived on a lake there up north. So I spent a lot of summers and winters on the lake. But I was always going and doing something. I never wanted to sit still and just be in the house. And that's kind of what built me into the serial entrepreneur that I am today.
What tips would you give to entrepreneurs starting, particularly like people starting a marketing agency?
Focus on one thing. Do it really well, become an expert in it. And then if you're a serial entrepreneur, you're going to have that type of I think in your blood to kind of keep doing new things. But what I see a lot of agencies do is agency owners do is I think they kind of create this agency side as a side hustle to maybe get out of the full-time job, which is a great strategy. Can be difficult for sure to, manage a full-time job, have a side hustle, and then build that side hustle into a replacement of your full-time job, or at least your full-time employment with another company. Because then, as an entrepreneur, we always have more than one full-time job, it seems. But focus for sure. As an agency, and then focus on a narrow set of solutions, because in marketing, it can get so wide, so broad. I mean, you have so many aspects to marketing just between traditional offline and now online. And then when you get into the online world, you have all these rabbit holes. You have, Google ads, you have Facebook ads, you have SEO, you have websites, you have hosting, and it can become, if you get sucked into it, you can get off focus really quickly and your sales will suffer. And so I think focus on a narrow set of solutions. And probably the second tip would be, if you're an agency owner just getting started, find a white label partner, because you need to focus on scaling your sales and your revenue. And if you get off focus and start getting into fulfillment and trying to do the websites and do the SEO, do the PPC, you'll be like this in your sales momentum. It'll just be up and down, up and down. And I've seen people spend a decade as an agency owner and not be any further ahead than what they were 5-10 years ago, simply because they've been always doing all the work. And they just never managed to find or look for a strategic partner in a white label agency.
Right. Also, like, does focus also mean like starting with a niche, or like, is it okay to, kind of just target, everybody you can?
Well, it's okay to be a generalist agency, as I would call them, but I would highly recommend niching, finding a niche or an industry that you're going to go deep into. It makes everything so much easier. Now, I'm not speaking from experience, other than more recently. I'm now in a niche. Our quantum agency is a niched agency. We deal only indirectly with other agencies. But for my previous 9 years as an agency owner with Brand Equation, we were a generalist agency, and I didn't know any better. I just kind of decided one day I was going to get out of the financial industry and go into marketing. And I spent about 2 years trying to figure out in what area of marketing or online marketing was I going to focus on. I had decided to focus on the agency model, but didn't have anything beyond that really. And so I just became a generalist agency without knowing any better. I built my agency in those 8 to 9 years through mostly referral networks. I just did a lot of business development and relationship development. So I was able to grow it into a 7-figure agency, even though it was a generalist, but it was very difficult. I mean, it was a lot of pain, just because nothing was scalable. And so, if I brought on a doctor, and then the next month I brought on, an auto repair company, that was very typical. But man, those two types of businesses are very different. So I spent a lot of years just going through learning the business, which has served me well, because today as a white label agency, now I understand a lot of different industries and niches, which allows us to be a really good white label partner, because I understand so many niches, because I spent 9 years learning a lot of them and doing marketing for a lot of different industries. But if I were just starting out today, I would pick a niche and go deep into that niche. And then usually the next question is, well, what type of niches, like what's good and what's not? There's a lot of good niches out there, but the general rule of thumb would be that I wouldn't pick any niche where the average customer value isn't worth at least $1,500 to $2,000. When you can find an industry where the businesses in that industry, when they get a new customer, that customer is worth $1,500, $2,000 or more to them, each new customer, it makes marketing a lot easier for those businesses, because all you have to do is get them 1 or 2 clients a month and they're happy, and you get them 3 or 4 and they're your best friend and asking you out for drinks every weekend. So, and then picking a niche also just allows you for scale, allows you to create one sales process, the messaging for those prospects and that marketing campaign, and then just keep executing on it. And secondly, when you're in a niche, then you can really focus on becoming omnipresent within the industry, which I like to, Josh Nelson is a great teacher of this principle. I give him credit for that. Just the term becoming omnipresent in your niche and just being everywhere in that niche, in the industry associations, targeting the best businesses in that niche, and just constantly being in front of them and positioning yourself as the expert, the go-to industry expert from all things marketing in XYZ niche. So if you want to scale and you want things to be easy, then pick a niche. If you want to go broad and have things be a lot more inefficient, and I'd say, just more difficult, then don't pick a niche. But that would be my advice.
Right. No, that's a good one. What made you like personally choose, agencies, as a niche?
That's a great question. We started building, so if I go back to 2016, my business partner, Matt, and I started building our own software to help us scale our SEO. SEO has always been the biggest driver of our monthly recurring revenue. When I began my agency in 2010, I really didn't understand all this, but I quickly learned. So when I started the agency, our generalist agency in 2010, we started off just doing websites. I learned websites myself for 2 or 3 years and started doing the websites myself for the first few clients, and not knowing any better, that's all we did. And so all of a sudden I jumped into this agency model and got onto a hamster wheel, not knowing any better. And so every month we had to do 3, 5, 6 new websites to keep that monthly revenue just churning and coming in. And that got pretty exhausting pretty quickly. And by virtue of doing websites for a lot of these new clients that we were bringing in, their next question was, well, all right, great. Now I got this website, but how are we going to drive traffic to it? How do I monetize it? How do I make people find it? How do I get visible in Google and search? And so I was like, I have another solution I can sell to my clients, and this will start driving the recurring revenue. So I could actually start to build more momentum, in that monthly recurring revenue. So we started offering SEO, and this was, 2011, 2012. Well, in 2012, Google came out with Google Places. I don't know if you remember, which is now today Google Maps, but when Google Places launched, I like within months of that launching, I knew we were on the cusp of a whole new frontier for online, because reviews started to become popular. Google started putting reviews to the listings, and the search results started changing pretty dramatically. And so I dug in and learned local SEO and organic SEO for the next many years. And starting in 2016, we had grown our SEO and our monthly recurring revenue to $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a month over those few years. And we really started to hit ceilings. Because SEO was our biggest driver of that revenue, but we were really taxed at 30 to 50 clients. Like it just kept, we hit those ceilings and then bump back down. We'd lose some. We'd climb back up, and we just could never seem to go over that ceiling, because our SEO results weren't predictable enough yet. There was too much variance in the results, and there was just too many manual processes. So it oftentimes left some things would just be undone as you got too many clients on board. So we got to work on building the software that would help us scale our SEO and replace us having to do manual link building, guest post blogging, using PBNs, and trying to look for other ways to move the needle predictably, but which were very manual. When we started to build that software, Matt and I very early on in 2016 decided we would build that out software for other agencies too, not just our own. So in that key decision, when we launched the software 2.5, 3 years later, that software, which is now today Signal Genesys, was launched into the agency market. So we built it for other agencies. So as I began to start to work, kind of exposing agencies to our new software, it only made sense then that my agency work, which was then still a generalist agency, would focus on agencies as well. So in Q1 of 2019, I took our entire fulfillment team for Brand Equation and said, hey guys, as of today, we're now going to be a white label agency. Brand Equation clients are going to be our first agency that we're going to work for. But from now forward, we're going to be in this niche. And that coincided with following the advice of Josh Nelson and what he teaches in the 7-Figure Agency Group, that agencies should find a niche and not just be a generalist. So I took his advice, took our focus that was on the software side, and decided to just bring them right together into one consolidated focus on agencies. So that's what I do today. Today, in our agency side, we help other agencies. And in the software side, we have a couple thousand agencies that use our software for their SEO processes.
I understand. So, what do you think about, giveaways? What are your thoughts on the best foot in the door offer, like mainly for an agency?
I was never big on giveaways and still am not today. I don't like giving away things for free. I think that just always minimizes the value perception. And I believe in the marketing industry, we're not talking about low ticket items. We're talking about, a website that costs thousands of dollars. We're talking about SEO that is going to be, $1,000, $2,000 or $3,000 a month. So these are not low ticket items. So value perception is really important with both the prospect and the client in an ongoing manner. So giving away things for free seems to me, just in my own opinion, to minimize value, kind of cheapen things. So I've never been really big on giveaways, other than for maybe rewarding loyalty to existing customers who refer other customers. That's great. Give away, a gift card or something of great value when they decide to refer other, people to you. But the biggest thing that I would give away would be value and insight for them as a business owner before they became a client. So in my prospecting as an agency, when I was in that world, I would do a pretty good audit of their business online. I would record it with a video using a service like Loom or something similar. And I would go through search and show them, here, you're not showing up for these keywords. These are obviously the best keywords for your service and solutions that you sell as a business, and you're not showing up. You're on page 2, you're on page 10 or wherever. These are your competitors that are showing up ahead of you. Here are some of the reasons why this is happening. I'd show them weaknesses on their website. I'd show them mistakes with their name or their address or their phone number that were out there online that was confusing the algorithm. Or whatever. And I would record typically a 10-minute video, and then I would send that to them as a prospect. And it was valuable. I was taking my valuable time going through their business online, recording some things, giving them insight, giving it away for free, while really not advertising it was for free. Obviously it was for free, but I wasn't advertising that fact. I was just giving them value and establishing at the same time, trying to position myself as the go-to expert that could solve their problems.
Right. What do you do as an entrepreneur, when you hit, let's say, dead ends in business?
Plateaus, I call them, we always use, so I liken it to, when you work out, you work out, you grow, and all of a sudden you hit a plateau, and all of a sudden the body just isn't kind of responding the way it was the previous 8 weeks or, however, period of time it was. And when you hit plateaus in working out, you have to do something typically radical. You got to do something different, to kind of break out and kind of shock the body into, growing more. And so I do the same thing in my businesses. I have typically done it. What I do is I call it a 90-day burn. So when I feel like I've hit plateaus or there's just big goals in front of me that I've set that I want to go for, I'll do what I call a 90-day burn. And that's basically 90 days of a lot of extra work. So those are typically 10, 12, 14-hour days, not many weekends off. I'm typically doing day work where I'm in my, still working in my business. And then off hours, I'm working on that business, so in time versus on time. In those 90-day burns, there's a lot of extra on time in my 90-day burns. I'm working on my business. I'm working on those goals. I'm working on the strategies, the systems, the processes, the workflows that are going to help me, break out of that plateau or reach those larger than normal goals.
Understand. Well, that's a really good one. 90-day burnouts.
90-day burn. And I would even, even this going as far as telling my family, telling my wife, hey, look, the next 90 days are going to be busy. I'm going to be, traveling, or I'm going to be, really diving in deep here. So just be aware. It's not like forever. It's not going to be 6 months, 12 months. It's 90 days. It's a manageable amount of time. It's not, no one's going to die from it, but it is going to be. So, even letting family and friends know, hey, this is going to be a pretty critical time for me. be aware that if I'm not around as much, just, you know why, I'm really going deep on my business and it's important that I do this.
Right. How does one create an ideal brand strategy?
An ideal brand, what?
Brand strategy?
Oh, okay. So this gets into branding, right? You know, the which is a subset of marketing. So we talk about, you know, you got to be careful. Don't want to go too far, you know, offer too many solutions. Branding is a whole subset into itself. But we did a fair amount of it at Brand Equation, from, you know, helping people really name their brand to the logo design or the identity of that brand. The first core of the brand strategy has to be the right name. 90% or more of businesses get that wrong. Like they just, you know, it's just a name, you know, like it's no big deal. It's whatever it is, you know, they're comfortable with, they like, but there's no strategy behind the name. So brand strategy, number one is strategy in the name of your company. The name of your company should be 100% unique. Most people fail right here. They have, their brand is not, it's maybe quasi unique, a little unique, but also a little similar to other names out there. If you want to be found online and you want to be found online quickly, then find a unique brand name. If you want it to be confusing to Google as to what company you are versus other companies with similar names, then choose a quasi unique name or a quasi similar name to others, because then Google will be very confused as to who you are versus other people with similar names or other companies. So brand name should be 100% unique. The .com should be available, and the name should be less than 15 characters, whether that's one word, 2 words. Why? Twitter limits you to 15 characters in your username. If you want your brand name to be consistent across all of your social profiles, including the .com, then let's just say it's abcplumbers.com, or ABC Plumbers is your name. Obviously, that's not unique, but let's just say it was. .com needs to be available. If abcplumbers.com is not available, then we're finding a different name.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to lose traffic to whoever has abcplumbers.com. So the name, the right brand strategy has to start with the right brand name. So 15 characters or less. I would say 1 or 2 words, 3 words. It's going to be hard to get 3 words in 15 characters. Number one, number two, even if you can, it's still 3 words. So ideal would be 1 to 2 words, 15 characters or less. That is 100% unique, where you can acquire the .com, the Twitter profile, the Facebook profile, the Instagram profile, the LinkedIn profile. All of those are going to be available so that they're all 100% consistent. If you ever go to somebody's website and you see their user or their social profiles, and they're all different. Like it's Instagram.com/ABC Plumbers 123. It's Facebook.com/ABC Plumbers XYZ. You know, they're all different because they didn't really take into account a brand strategy that demanded a unique 15 character brand name.
Right. And I'm sure a lot of people don't think about it, you know, while they're naming their brands, you know, that's why in a lot of cases we see, like, you know, their Twitter handles don't have the entire brand name, and, you know, the same problems that you just said.
So what's happening? Well, number one, with the user, I mean, try to follow a company that's got all different social handles. They're all different. Like that's confusing for the user, but that's also equally confusing for the algorithm, right? And so if we want to be found online, and we want to be found online quickly and distinctly as a brand name, then we need to look for a unique name. And that's not easy, but if you want a sound brand strategy that will save you hundreds of thousands of dollars in the future, then you best take the time, or you hire an expert to help you with that. Because if you get the brand name wrong, and then later realize that 2 or 3 years later, just think of how much you've gotten into, you know, using that name everywhere. It's in your website. It's all over the directory listing world. It's in your social profiles. It's in your Google listing. It's on business cards. It's on other marketing materials. Changing that later is very, very painful.
Right, right. You know, like since we talked about, you know, branding, you know, like reputation management kind of also becomes very important, when you're trying to,
Very much.
create your brand and protect your brand. Like, how important is it to monitor, one's reputation, and like, are there any best practices that you follow or suggest?
It's critical. So I very often, especially when I was in the agency world dealing with business owners directly instead of in the white label world, which I am now, with business owners, I was preaching reputation first. Like that was one of the things I would do in prospecting is like if your competition is a 4.8 and you're a 3.2, I would use that and show them that and then say, look, here's the bottom line. We can do SEO and PPC and make you more visible in search results. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to be getting your bad reputation more visible to more people.
Right.
We don't want to do that. We want to fix your reputation first and then get you more visible because we don't want more people knowing about how bad your reviews are right now. Right. Okay. So we don't want to launch into a new marketing, SEO, PPC campaign and ignore, the foot that's turning gangrene. Like, we need to fix the foot, which is the bad reviews, and then get going with, with our workout regimen, but yeah. So reputation management is critical because that's going to happen. Like if you have a 3.2 rating and we are successful, which we will be in getting you more visible online in search and or in ad spaces, then people are going to see your reputation. Like Google makes it front and center. And then there's other review sites. All they do is, report reviews on companies. So the consumer is going to see your negative or your low review rating more than what they are today if we make you more visible. So let's get some 5-star, some 4-star reviews in, even if it's just 5, 10, 12 new reviews quickly from friends, family, close customers. And then once we have a new set of, 3 or 4 and 5-star reviews, now let's launch the marketing campaign and make you more visible. So reputation management is critical. It also obviously directly impacts your conversion. So we can get you showing up on search, but if you do have bad reviews, it's going to hurt your conversion. So, that's nothing we can do. The businesses have to do a good job of delivering services, solutions with a quality experience to garner good reviews, because bad reviews will hurt their conversions more than it's going to hurt their rankings.
Right. How should one handle their social media channels, let's say after a mishap or, let's say a bad review?
You have a bad review. We've always counseled clients, you need to respond. Like if it's legitimate and you just did a bad job, then we typically say, look, own it. Like own it. Call the client, own the review, like own it in your response. Call the client. Try to introduce service recovery. Whatever that looks like for you. See if you can't, make that better, right? Like see if you can't turn that 2-star review into a 4-star review. If it's just not going to happen and you are responsible, like the customer was right, you just did a bad job, then own it and move on, but still respond. Because if you have a negative review and you don't respond, you're going to let the next consumer and their imagination, kind of run wild with that. Responding by owning it, graciously apologizing, is one way. If it's not legitimate or it's an overstated kind of review, like the customer is being extreme, then you just got to try and neutralize it with carefully worded language so that you don't incite them even more. But at the same time, you kind of neutralize. An example like that would be, we're really sorry to hear that you had a negative experience or a less than 5-star experience with our team on the recent service call. Our goal and aim is to provide a 5-star experience for every single customer, every single time. One of our representatives will be reaching out to you just to find out a little bit more about what happened, to see what we can do to make it right.
Right.
Like if I'm a consumer and I read that, I'm like, okay, well, I understand not everyone's, not every single instance of a customer communication or, service delivery is going to be like 5-star. But if you own it and then say we're committed to that you're going to neutralize that negative review a lot more than if you just don't answer it at all.
Right. How would you define Elon Musk's online reputation?
His online reputation?
Yeah.
How would I define it? Growing. Negative and positive alike. He's got fans, he's got detractors, but it certainly is growing as he's waded into the whole, potential transaction of buying Twitter.
Right. As an agency, what is your strategy to win new clients?
Add value. Comes from the book, The Go-Giver. I don't know if you ever read the book, The Go-Giver. I probably have a copy of it on my bookshelf there. I was going to see if I could spot it quickly, but I don't see it sticking out. But I read that book several times. It talks about the 5 laws in business. And I think it's law number 2 goes something like, add more value than what you ever asked for in payment. So I always try to lead with value. And that means by helping people before I ever ask for, or before they ever pay me, to do something for them. So how that translates, the principle is what I just discussed. How that translates is I'm in a lot of Facebook groups. I wouldn't say a lot. I'm in a few Facebook groups with other agencies, and I answer questions. I offer help. I add value and add in intel, to them as agencies that I know are going to help them and help them grow. And in doing so, I just naturally attract people who say, "Hey, I saw that your post on XYZ. I think I need more help. We might be a really good fit. Can we meet?" That's pretty much how I've grown our white label agency, is just through adding value in Facebook groups and then strategic partnerships as well. So we do have some strategic partnerships with, I would call them influencers or hubs of networks of agencies. And so we build relationships, strategic partnerships with some of those people or companies, and then add lots of value into those groups.
Right. Well, in the end, I like playing a quick rapid fire round of 3 to 5 questions. I know we are short on time, but
sure, fire away.
What is your go-to pastime?
Say that one more time.
What is your go-to pastime?
My go-to pastime?
Yeah.
As far as like what I like to do for fun?
Yeah.
I have several, but it's all like just outdoors or sports. I love to just play sports. Today I'll be 51 this year. So, I'm not as active in sports as I used to be. I used to play adult hockey, and that was one big thing I used to do. I like to camp, go 4-wheeling, spend time at the beach, go fishing, shooting, just, outdoor or activities. That's what I kind of like to do. And then I also I'm a sucker for reading and research. I just love to read and research and expand my knowledge. So that's when I want to kind of just chill out, like at night or something, I'll just sit down and I'll dig into some reading and research and just become more informed.
If a movie was made on you, what genre would it be?
Say it again.
If a movie was made on you, what genre would it be?
Action adventure for sure.
Favorite superhero?
Jesus. I don't follow Marvel a whole lot, so he's my superhero.
One subject you would like to learn more about?
Crypto.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Well, Lane, thank you so much for your time. It was fun having you. And
thank you.
I'll get to talk to you soon.
I appreciate the time very much. Hopefully it was good and insightful for you guys and your audience. And if there's anything I can do to help, please let me know.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Dawood. Take care. Have a good day.